This is an awesome house. And this is the video that's going to explain a creative, underused way to buy this house. Well, maybe not this exact house, but one just like it, or any house for that matter. We all can feel the financial strain that has been put on our wallets. From rising gas prices, to expensive groceries, and super high utility bills. We can all feel it. I mean, I paid $12 for some eggs the other day, and you don't want to know how much I spent at the gas tank these days. To top it off, interest rates are through the roof, and it's making it harder and harder for people to buy real estate, and the numbers prove it. Compared to last year, home sales are down, and interest rates are up, which is creating concern about the direction of the real estate market. Now, don't get me wrong, there is still strong demand for buyers looking to buy a home. It's just a little harder to afford one, and if you can afford it, then it's hard to find one for sale because data shows that inventory is down across the nation, which is why buyers and sellers alike have been trying to find creative ways to buy and sell real estate. Whether you are looking to buy your first home or looking to put on your entrepreneur hat and start a business, the one thing we all have in common is that it's more expensive today than it's been in some time to buy real estate, and people are tired of paying for what many feel is an unfair deal. But what if there was a way to create your own terms and set your own price? I mean, a way for you to cut out the nonsense of 9% to finance your dream home or business. Yup, you heard right. And I am not talking about getting in a time machine and going back to a time when homes cost less than a modern sedan. I am talking about an underutilized creative way to buy and sell an asset. And it's called seller financing. Seller financing has a long history in the United States, dating back to the colonial era. It was a common way for people to buy land and homes, especially in rural areas where banks were not easily accessible. In the early 20th century, seller financing became less common as banks began to offer more mortgages. However, it remained an important option for buyers with poor credit or who could not qualify for a traditional mortgage. Seller financing made a comeback in the 2008 housing crisis when many banks tightened their lending standards. Buyers who were unable to qualify for a traditional mortgage turned to seller financing as a way to purchase a home.
There are several reasons why seller financing is making a comeback in the commercial and residential real estate markets in 2023. Number 1, rising interest rates. Interest rates have been rising steadily in 2023, making traditional mortgages more expensive. Considering just a few years ago, you could get a home loan for as low as 2 or 3%, versus today's market, where we have seen some people get approved for as high as 9% on a home loan. Rates are just as high, and with some lending products, commercial rates can be even higher, which will make it difficult for investors to make a positive return on their investment. Seller financing can offer buyers a lower interest rate than they could get from a bank, and people are understanding that more and more every day. Number 2, tightening lending standards. Banks are tightening their lending standards, making it more difficult for buyers to qualify for a traditional mortgage. Seller financing can be a good option for buyers who have good credit, but may not be able to qualify for a traditional mortgage due to other factors, such as a high debt-to-income ratio. And during a challenging market, banks are less likely to lend, opting for a more conservative approach when it comes down to it. Number 3, inventory shortage. There is a shortage of homes for sale in many markets, which is driving up prices. Inventory will likely continue with this trend until rates come down, and there is no clear sign of that happening anytime soon. If you are a seller that is sitting on a rate from 5-10 years ago, and you are faced with the reality of selling, then having to turn around and buy another property at a higher rate, then you can understand why sellers are not excited about listing their property for sale. But with seller financing, buyers can at least get creative with terms so that they can create a better situation for themselves. Number 4, increased demand for investment properties. Demand for investment properties is increasing as investors are looking for ways to hedge against inflation and earn a return on their investment. Seller financing can make it easier for investors to purchase investment properties without having to tie up all of their cash, which makes a deal far more attractive when you consider some of the challenges presented by typical banks. Number 5, increased competition among sellers. In a competitive market, sellers are looking for ways to make their properties more attractive to buyers. Seller financing can give sellers a competitive advantage by making it easier for buyers to purchase their property, and make it more affordable for buyers because seller financing typically offers slightly better terms than you could get at a traditional bank or mortgage company. and interest rates with seller financing are typically lower than what you can get from a bank. Okay, I think that covers it. And after all of that, you should be a seller financing expert, or at least have a much better understanding of it. Now let me give you an oversimplified version of how. Step 1. Get your money and your credit in order. Even though you are using seller financing, doesn't mean that the seller may not want to check your bank statements or pull credit to make sure they are dealing with a solid buyer. Step 2. Find a house that the seller is willing to let you pay for over time. You can hire a real estate agent to help you find a house because they have experience and resources to help you. Step 3. Make an offer to the seller on how much you will pay for the house and how much money you will put down now and how much you will pay each month. This is where a licensed realtor can help you negotiate and ensure that the transaction goes smoothly. Step 4. Have a professional inspect the house to make sure there are no problems. Step 5. Sign an agreement with the seller that says how much you will pay for the house, how much you will put down now, how much you will pay each month, and when you will pay off the loan. Step P6. Get a lawyer to review all the contracts between both parties. Find a title and escrow company to help facilitate the transaction. Step 7. After checking to ensure the title is clear and there are no other unexpected issues with the title of the property, then you are clear to close. You can see why seller financing is a good option for both buyers and sellers, and commercial and residential alike. Buyers can benefit from a lower interest rate and the ability to purchase a home they may not otherwise be able to afford. Sellers can benefit from a quicker sale and a higher selling price. If you are considering buying or selling a property, seller financing is an option to consider. Talk to your real estate agent to learn more about seller financing and whether it is right for you.